Why prompt engineering is important, and is it still worth learning? Think about it like this. What constitutes the main design of an algorithm is efficiency. The main principle of new business models, like Google, is efficiency. AI and robots are created based on this principle. Society is going to be reimagined based on efficiency. It will help us to start thinking and communicating accordingly, so we can have the skills and more options to thrive in the future. I make my wife go crazy when I ask her stuff like, did you finish?
Did I finish what?
Did you like it?
Did I like what?
As you can see, there's a lack of information right there. I assume that the receptor will understand me without providing enough context. Before starting, let me tell you that for a guy like me that struggles with communication and that has some kind of dyslexia for sure, this tool has been eye-opening, and you will see why. What is prompt engineering? It's the art of communicating with a large language model. Basically, it's the art of communicating with robots. What is the essence of prompt engineering? Accuracy improvement. You have to be able to ask the correct question in the correct format and the correct context. With proper prompting, you will reduce the percentage of error by a lot. The more context the model has about why you're doing what you're doing or what your goals are, better the suggestions are going to be. Prompt engineering mindset. Let's use this analogy to understand it better. Let's compare prompting to designing effective Google searches. How good are your Googling skills now as opposed to 5 years ago? Probably better. I use these things all the time, and I think that everybody will use something similar in the future. So why don't start now? Another thing that is going to be very important to survive in the new AI feature is going to be having a basic understanding of AI and the new terms and concepts that we're starting to hear everywhere. Click in this video where I explain in basic and understandable terms how these chatbots are created and work. Let's start with a basic request. Please write me a congratulations letter for my friend Tony, who just had a promotion at his job. This prompt is it's kind of vague. I'm not giving a lot of information, but voila, it's doing it. Dear Tony, I hope this letter finds you in great spirit and health. I'm writing you to express my heartfelt congratulations on your recent promotion at work. This, as we see, was kind of like a vague input. The magic of prompt engineering is that we can prompt it in a way that it's going to give us the output that we're looking for, the best output possible, basically. Tip number 1 to make the best prompts and make the best use of ChatGPT. Write clear and specific instructions. By the way, the longer the prompt or instructions, the more possibilities to get wrong or inaccurate responses. If we, for example, expand on this question, I want you to write a congratulations letter for my friend Tony, 40 years old. Just had a promotion at his job as a seller in a big store downtown in Chicago. Tony is a responsible, funny guy that loves jokes. Can you make a funny letter? So we're giving the chat more context, and let's see how it affects the output. From the beginning, dear Tony, aka Chicago's finest clothes seller. So it's like being funny with it. Hope this letter doesn't find you buried under a mountain of newly acquired work shirts and designer ties. We have said that he's responsible, so it says, in all seriousness, Tony, your promotion is well deserved. And I couldn't be prouder. That's very nice. So as we can see, the more context, the better the result. Reducing ambiguity reduces the likelihood of irrelevant or incorrect outputs. In this example, we just specified the job, place, Chicago, the age. So we're being more detailed oriented. So be super specific in providing the instructions on what you want. Don't assume that the model knows what you're looking for. He doesn't know who's Tony. Basically, how to talk to it. Think like you're providing instructions to an employee of your business. Be direct, use affirmative directions like do, don't, your task is, you must, say I'm providing you, etc. Another thing that I can say is that don't ask leading questions. The model is eager to please, so guide but leave prompts open-ended. It will help immensely to have expertise of the specific subject area that you're asking the model about. If I want to ask the model about a problem related to kidneys, probably if I'm a doctor, I'm going to be able to prompt a better question and obtain a more accurate answer. Another tip would be adopt a persona. In this example, what we're going to say is pretend you are Edgar Allan Poe and write the letter in his style. As we can see here, he just wrote a congratulations letter in the style of Edgar Allan Poe with some probably funny touches. In this vast and teeming metropolis where the throngs of humanity ebb and flow like the relentless waves of a dark, unfathomable sea. Yep, that sounds like Edgar Allan Poe. It even uses some of the typical characters of Edgar Allan Poe stories, adjectives, etc. Why not?
Create an image from this letter to make it.
That's not bad. So to be a little bit more specific, we can give the model instructions based on the length that we want and the form of the letter. Make the letter in the form of a poem and very short and to the point. And here we go. It just take all the information right here and used it to create a poem. In the heart of Chicago's bustling scene lies a store where Tony reigns supreme. Incredible. So after these more specific instructions, he did it. Okay, so besides pretending to be someone like Edgar Allan Poe, another thing that we can do is integrate the intended audience. For example, write for an 8-year-old. So what I'm going to do is copy-paste a definition of large language models made by NVIDIA. Well, this is for adults. So what I'm going to ask is copy-paste. This is a definition of LLM. So we have the definition that we just copy-pasted, and next my prompt. This is a definition of an LLM, large language model. I want you to pretend to be an AI scientist that works as a children's teacher. Can you summarize this definition in the form of bullet points, no longer than one paragraph each? Summary is to make an 8-year-old understand this complex concept. One thing that you can do is, sometimes it helps to put it in this way, by numbers or steps of the different questions. Here we go, to be more clear. Language models, imagine LLMs like a super smart robot that loves to read and learn from lots of books and websites. Transformer networks, these are the brains of our robot. Well, just did it. As you can see, what I just did right here is to guide the model with different steps. First step to this, second step to that, third step to that. This sometimes helps in the quality of the final output. Tip number 3, guide the model. Models make more reasoning errors when they respond immediately. It is better for them to think incrementally. You can ask for a chain of thought or specify the specific steps. If, for example, let's say that the prompt that we're giving the model is too long and there's not structure and it's confusing, the model might stop reading early. One thing that you can do is that you can guide the model to process long documents piece by piece, like guide the model to think. Think step by step is a very simple addition that you can put in your prompts and that they normally work very well. So for example, what we can do, let's continue in the same chat, is: Hi Chatty, please plan a budget-friendly vacation. Step 1, determine the total budget for the vacation. Step 2,
research and list the costs associated with different aspects of the vacation, travel, accommodation, etc. Allocate the budget to each of these aspects. Identify ways to save money.
create a final itinerary and a budget plan that stays within the overall budget. If we put this, let's get a plan. And what we'll have to do is answer these questions, and having a human-like conversation with this chat, we will create our budget-friendly vacation plan. Another way to guide the model is providing examples. So for example, this is the prompt. I'm going to give you an image and I need you to create a title definition of it so I can present it in my website. Okay, so what we're going to do now is either click here and look for it.
This one.
Here we go. So the model is using his ability to see the file that we just give it, and it's doing what we asked in the prompt, a watercolor study of a classical doorway. This right here would work. This is amazing, but this is not the format of the title definition that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is give it another image with the title definition structure that I'm looking for as an example for it to understand what kind of structure I'm looking for. So this example is going to be this image. I'm going to drag and drop right here. And I'm going to specify to the model that this is the title description structure that I'm looking for. To make it more understandable, and the instructions of what we want. Can you use this structure to make the title definition of the door image? Let's see what happens. An example description structure that I'm looking for. Okay. Directly. Classical doorway, art, printable, architecture, watercolor is following the structure. This is a celestial landscape. The other one is a classical doorway. It's a wall art printable. This is like the theme, astral photography, architectural watercolor, illustration. So basically what we did is to give the model an example that we want it to follow to guide him and to have the output that we're looking for. Another thing that will help guide the model is asking clarifying questions and requesting explanations, drawing comparisons, etc. Basically, at the end of this prompt of this question, I could have said, clarify if you have understood my prompt and request any explanations you need. And now he's explaining if he understood the question. You have provided an image and requested a title description for it, following a specific structure as used in your example for celestial themed wall art. Amazing, it understood my prompt. If not, what you can do is help it self-correct. Like, for example, are you sure about your answer? Can you review it and provide a correct explanation? Tip number 4, break down the task or prompt, divide and conquer. Break down complex tasks to be multiple simple tasks in an interactive conversation. You can use intent classification to identify the most relevant instructions. For example, I'm planning a camping trip in the Rocky Mountains for a week. I need advice on essential gear,
Wildlife safety, and the best trails for hiking. The breaking down. Intent 1, recommendations for essential camping gear for the Rocky Mountains. Intent 2, tips on wildfire safety in the Rocky Mountains. Intent 3, suggestions. Okay.
your response basically. The AI would address each intent individually, offering detailed suggestions for camping gear, advice, blah, 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 blah. Okay, tip number 5, prompt multiple times. Iterate. This is a game of iterations, and what you're looking for won't probably come to you in your first try. You will have to iterate, have a conversation with the model to find the best output. You can ask the model to answer questions multiple times and determine the best answer. So another thing that you can do if you want to iterate about different outputs is changing the temperature. What is the temperature? The temperature regulates the randomness or creativity of the LLM's response. Higher temperature gives more varied, creative responses, and lower temperature gives more conservative, predictable responses. It goes from 0.1 to 2.0. The lower, the more focused, predictable, and conservative the results will be. And the higher the temperature, the more creative, random, and the more risk-taking the output will be. Tip number 6. Use external tools and don't rely 100% on it. As a rule of thumb, if a task can be done more reliably or efficiently by a tool rather than a language model, offload it to get the best of both. As we can see right here, the ChatGPT can make mistakes. Consider checking important information. I suppose this is going to change in the future, when multimodal models are going to be way more capable. So here I'll present you another term you may have heard somewhere, hallucinations, which are responses generated by an AI which contain false or misleading information presented as facts. Never rely 100% on this tool. It's a helpful tool, it's an amazing assistant, but never do it. So at the beginning, this could look very difficult, but there's some tools that can help you with that. As we saw in the last video, we can use the RISE framework, where you can add into the prompt that you're doing a role that you want the model to be, instructions, a context, constraints, and examples. That's a good framework to start. And you have other tools that you can use, like for example, this prompt whisperer, that basically is going to assist you in creating the best prompts based on your domain. There are other tools out there, but this is a very good one. Another thing that you can look at is this amazing website called learnprompting.org. I use it a lot, and here you have like really detailed explanations of how to prompt and how to learn prompt engineering. I'm going to put all these links in the description, so if you want to use them, there they are. In time, the ability of the models to craft accurate responses will reduce the demand of crafting amazing prompts. Some people refer to it as a bug in the system that in time is going to be resolved, so they say that probably it's a tool that is going to eventually disappear. So we won't have to be putting that much effort into putting the right questions to have the better answers. But I think that the basics of bunny prompting are skills that we can adapt in our own communication skills, and they're going to be the basis of the future communication with AI and robots. So is it worth it? Fuck yeah. In my case, it is helping me to be more efficient and better in my communication skills. Linguistics are key to prompt engineering, understanding the nuances of language and how it is used in different contexts. Prompting as a skill is no different than the ability to communicate efficiently with other humans. This in turn makes reading, writing, and speaking even more important as human skills. Okay, so let's continue with different examples and use cases that are going to be super beneficial for you. See you in the next one.